Well, a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen, from wherever you're watching us. Welcome to another interesting episode of the Candid Talk here on Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. My name is Evan Sokinyi. I'm glad that you're here with us. Good morning. I'm joined here by Professor Herman Manyora. How are you, sir?
Wonderful.
How's your weekend be? Oh, today is a Wednesday.
Yes.
I think the last time we had a conversation was last week on Wednesday.
Yes, you are aware. Here you are
I'm actually
wrestling exams.
wrestling my exams and all that.
Yeah.
But at least I found that time to at least come and engage with the common people here, talk to Kenyans, and analyze some of the issues taking place in the country right now. Now, definitely something happened, and I just want to get your opinion on this. We are still waiting for the talks to proceed over a month since the demonstrations were suspended, and then the bipartisan committee was constituted by both parties, and here we are. We expected that those talks are supposed to be going on, but right now nothing is going on. Actually, they've reached another hitch, and the opposition side is saying that they're not ready now to have a talk with these people. One, they're citing interference of political parties and all that the government is doing with all that. So they've got their conditions, but then what is taking place is that right now that talk has been suspended for a while. Do you think that these people are justified in doing this, or are they taking Kenyans for a ride, or what is it that is taking place in the country?
Two things. In a video I did last Saturday, I said Ruto is outsmarting Raila by huge margins. What we had all thought was going to be a nightmare to Ruto and for Ruto, Ruto has knocked it off, which is mass action. Bipartisan talks, Ruto is using all delaying tactics and they are working in his favor, and therefore those of us who had thought Ruto will face headwinds between here and 27, we have had to revise our view. The truth is there's no problem challenge Ruto is facing, and the 2027 will be a walkover for him. The second thing is to do with this country. I think I have said repeatedly that it's not a question of who is smarter than the other. Ruto can be smarter than Raila and vice versa. But I don't think it is in the interest of this country for any of these gentlemen to think they can be clever. No. So this bipartisan talks, the delay, tells us two things. Number one, we are driving the country into some danger. Because I have said repeatedly, we need a national conversation. You may call it what you want, but we need a national conversation. And that conversation will produce a national charter which will help us and guide us to move forward and avoid the costly mistakes we have made. And the second thing you learn from this postponement is that Raila and Azmi have lost it. Have lost it badly. Because Ruto needs time.
Okay.
There is nothing time can't sort out.
And you're saying that
there is no pain, there is no wound that time can't heal. Things are going to change. You see the rains, you see dark clouds, rains are there. You know, these gathering clouds, rains. Harvest is going to be bumper. The world could organize itself in terms of crude oil, and the prices of crude oil could come down. There is an onslaught on the dollar from the BRICS, from the Japanese, Chinese, you know, these BRICS people and the rest, some of these giants. The dollar could give in and lose its grip on our currencies. All these things could work in favor of other countries, including Kenya. And you could find the cost of living just dropping down. Whack. So from a purely dual position, from a position of a fight between Raila and Ruto, Raila is playing it badly. Badly, because every passing time makes him lose something, including his supporters, who are getting impatient with him.
So my question would be, I don't want to get into the politics of who is playing who or who is perhaps outsmarting who, but then here we are in the country. Definitely the cost of living, one of the reasons for which Raila decided to marshal these people all the way to the streets, has not yet been solved. That issue is still pending. All the other problems that they brought on board, all those conditions, none of them has been solved right now. Would you therefore tend to believe that are they justified right now, in as much as you're saying that perhaps the Azimio wing is falling into Ruto's kind of trick by, of course, you said that the president wants buy time, but now are they justified in now trying to alt this kind of talks, or rather lead to the suspension of the talks that were supposed to be moving on, because a number of legislators from the other side are saying these people are just trying to sabotage these talks without any valid reason at all. On your side, do you think that perhaps the Azimio side have got any reason whatsoever to suspend the talks of that now?
Of course, reasons are there. But this is politics. Reasons are not enough. You must put everything within a political context. This is a contest within a political context. Reasons alone are not enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it is politics all.
Yeah, you have to look at the politics. Well, this is a political contest. You don't need reasons. Reasons are... And let me tell you this. That's why I'm saying I think Azimio have lost it. Who tells you in a negotiation you go and say what you want and you are given? The moment they agreed is going to be bipartisan talks, which is basically let us negotiate over things. Who tells you Ruto just say, you just ask Ruto open servers and he opens? Where has it worked like that anywhere in the world? Which sort of negotiations, however simple, however low, do you just put something on the table and everybody says yes? So the other side says yes.
Do you have a problem with a kind of approach that...
Yeah, you must know it's not just a question of putting... You can't just tell Ruto, make you the price of maize flour, unga, 100, and he does it the following day. There could even be challenges. It could be something he can't do. Or he may not even find is important. You have to make him see it is important. It's not just saying. You know, they think... The impression I'm getting from Azimio is that they have put demands down, and somehow they think the other side should just say yes. It has never worked like that. Never.
So which approach should they...
They should look for it. That's why they are there. It's a question of brainstorming, thinking about it, strategizing. You can't just put your demands on the table and expect Ruto to say yes. How? Where has it worked? No, it hasn't worked like that anywhere, and it's not about to start now. And that's where the thinking steps in. If you think you just meet in a room and take tea and bang the table, that's not enough. You have to think. They are not thinking. And Ruto is outsmarting them. Yeah. There is nowhere, let me repeat. They have said lower the price of food. Open servers. They have said about 3-4 things that should have been done by now. What are those?
Yeah, of course, he's talking about
food,
the price of
unga, servers. There's something else.
They should also stop interfering with the Azimio affiliate parties, specifically Jubilee.
Those are very valid demands, very very serious demands. Kenyans supported them. I support them on those demands, like especially on political parties, prostitution. But who tells you once you put on the table, the other side must just say yes?
Okay.
That's why they are trained negotiators. That's why they're thinking to go into these things. If it was just as simple as putting your demands down and somebody says yes, any idiot will do it. Any fool can put a demand down. So it's a question, how do you approach the table? What do you leverage on? What do you give so that you take? How do you press? Those are things. How do you create irreducible minimums? You get what I'm saying? How do you get to force the other guy to do what you want them to do? Sometimes. They must also see there is some danger in not doing what you are saying. There's something they stand to lose, or there's something they stand to benefit. That's what negotiations are about. It has never been, it is not, and it will never be a question of putting your demands on the table and expecting the other side to say yes to everything. Never. And that seems to be what Azimio is doing.
Okay. Now, let me talk about something a little bit about the Jubilee Party. Of course, you've seen that feud between the government, of course, between President William Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta. That kind of disharmony that was there before even the elections is still continuing. And we've seen those wrangles that culminated in what was there, the NDC that was actually attended by Raila Odinga and all the Azimio La Umoja One Kenya coalition leaders therein. And then it appears that perhaps if at all Kenyans would go back to the streets, just as Raila opined the other day, then the issue of the government interfering with Jubilee Party, an affiliate party of the Azimio La Umoja One Kenya coalition, could be a reason. Do you think that perhaps Ruto can still use this one because they already knows that there is a problem here, and it is seen as if he's the one causing all these problems? Do you think that perhaps interfering with Jubilee as a party could also be a delaying tactic to lengthen this?
Yes. Yes. All these things are what Ruto has done. He has lined a number of things. He will be throwing one card, they react to it. Then he seems to be giving in. And I've said this repeatedly. Then time has gone. Then he throws another one. You haggle over it, you complain about the Jubilee. Then, as if he's very magnanimous, he pulls out. He gives in. Finally, two things are happening. Time is moving. And time is time favors Ruto, not Raila. The longer this thing, the better for Ruto. Certain things sort themselves out. There are certain eventualities that happen in life. The second thing, when you stretch Raila like that, people get tired of these demands. They will appear to be too many from Raila, from Azimio. Ruto will look magnanimous. Hawa jamaa wanasumbua Ruto, ametaka hii wamempatia, wametaka hii amewapatia. Now, in the eyes of the public, Ruto will begin again to look like the victim. That Raila is pushing too hard. He's over demanding. But finally, the continued demands and withdrawals, suspensions, and what have you, will tire the people as Azimio. It's not like you can just go out there and tell people come out and demonstrate and they come every day. No. No, and it's never because of the reasons. There is a software part of it. People are normally touched somewhere. Not the reason, the suffering of the people has never been a reason in history for a revolution or for anything. It has never. People can suffer for 1,000,000 years, 100 years, 10,000 years, 2,000, 1,000, 500. History has shown people can suffer. Millions, of course. I'm not talking about millions. I'm just talking about many years. Like 100 years, 200 years. The reason for which there will be a revolution can never be the suffering, the reasons.
So what could be the reason as why?
Something small triggers the underlying reasons. Something small happens and people just get out. So don't think because there are sufficient reasons, people will always go to the streets. No. People must feel angry, provoked enough to spill into the streets. It's not like they are going to the streets today because the pain is there today. No, it's not the pain. The pain would have been there for even 200 days, for 3, 4 months, 3, 4, 5 years. But something now triggers and people spill into the streets. So what Raila would want to do is to rationalize that which is never rationalized. To be logical with the crowd. The crowds are never logical.
Okay.
Logic never works with the crowd because Jubilee has refused. Not Jubilee, what do you call it? This is the root of, you call it what? Kenya Kwanza. I don't know what is Kwanza about it. Because Kenya Kwanza has refused. There's a Kwanza constituency. I don't know that it's still there. So let's go to the streets. That's logic. That is
logic.
That is the reason. That can't work for long. The crowds are not about logic or reason. No. Something burns people to go to the streets. So if you are a magnet like Raila, that helps you. But there must be something paining people enough, making people angry enough to want to immediately go to the streets. It's only made better because Raila is a magnet. You know. But, my friend, if you think every time there's a problem, you go to the people and tell them to go to the street, a time will come you don't even get 500 people.
Are you therefore trying to postulate that perhaps some of these reasons for which Raila is has called for people in the past to go to the streets may become obsolete and irrelevant by the time? And that is why the president...
Reasons are always there. They are always relevant. People are suffering. There is pain. There are electoral injustices. They are always there. But that's for somebody who wants to think and reason about it. But the crowds don't act out of reasoning and logic and rationalizing. No.
My big question now comes here. What option does Raila have to do? Because right now, definitely, you're seeing what is taking place with Jubilee. Of course, it's an affiliate party of the Azimio la Umoja One coalition. You're seeing what is taking place in the country. That kind of course, what is taking place therein does not actually show some sort of good blood between these people here. What option do they have?
What Raila and these people should do is to sit down and critically look at this thing, think very deep and very serious how they can engage with the other part. So far, the engagement's style is wanting. Now, it's primary school kind of engagement. They are engaged in a primary school sort of debate. A farmer is better than a teacher simply because a doctor is what. Money is better than education. That's where the level at which, unfortunately, Raila and his people are operating at a very low level. They have not seen that serious engagement. But look here, who are you going against? Ruto? Ruto is a man who can put such a simple demands on the table and expect he will react to them. He will deal with them. No, he's a smart guy. He's lethal. They must find a way of matching Ruto. That's the only thing I can say. So far they have not shown me they can match Ruto. Outside the streets. Let me make this one now very clear. Raila must figure out how he can deal with Ruto without the streets. My friend, the level of thinking involved in that kind of thing. Oh, if you are 10 people in a room, say 20 people in a room, figuring out how to deal with Ruto without mass action. Within an hour, you'll only be 4 or 5 in the room. Everybody will have left. Kichwa itakuwa inauma watu. Yes. Because every time something goes, you want to look behind like a surgeon, looking for a type of whatever blade or whatever to use. And when Raila puts the hand behind, he's looking for mass action. No, to your mass action. Now let's think. That's the starting point. Let us assume we have no recourse to mass action. How can we deal with Ruto?
Maybe the same person who said here that the government cannot yield in without pressure being mounted on.
Who tells you pressure is always mass action? Yeah, you outsmart your fellow.
So what is pressure then?
You outsmart. Listen, let me tell you something. Raila mentioned something recently about self-determination. That was a bomb. That was a huge bomb. That's from Raila. Raila is a man who comes up with things that can shock everybody. But I don't think the impact has been understood by people. The meaning of that has been understood by people. So part of the thinking is to make the other side get the full meaning of that. Self-determination. And like Raila was pushing Ruto into a corner. Your deputy president says this is a company with shareholders. Which means it belongs to some people, not to others. So can we be allowed, therefore, according to international law and our own laws, to be our own people? You remain with your company. That's the thinking I'm talking about. And you pursue it aggressively, using all avenues until the president can see, I have stepped on a live wire. So now when you sit with him having come with such a fire in your hands, he can see the fire in your hands. So when you sit with him, you tell him, let us get rid of certain things as a way of showing you are serious. Because evidence so far shows you are not serious. Before we deal with things which can give you a problem to decide, let us deal with things which have no issue, which do not cost you any money, over which you don't need to consult anybody, which is just the right thing to do, the legal thing to do, the constitutional thing to do, the common sense thing to do. You see? Which is, let us start, for example, leave Jubilee alone. And leaving Jubilee alone means 1, 2, 3. You don't need any money. You don't need to consult anybody. You don't need to change any law. Leave Jubilee alone. Number 2, Kanini, Kega and the rest who have violated the law, let them go home. You don't need any money. You are operating within law. In fact, you are enforcing the law. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things that can be determined within an hour in a sitting. Now, if he can't do those, then you tell him you are not serious.
What?
You get what I'm saying?
I like what you're saying, but remember, ladies and gentlemen, we are still on the ground, still looking at how things are taking place in this country. Of course, I do believe that Kenyans still want the right direction from the government. We do hope and pray that things will fall into place, and soon enough that perhaps the cost of living and all those other reasons that form the basis for which all these bipartisan talks were called for will actually be fulfilled. Till we have this conversation again, have yourself a lovely day. My name is Evans Okinyi.